Okay, so for the first card, we have the Six of Swords. So, more times than not, this is about where we're going through some sort of loss. Sometimes this can be a personal loss. Sometimes this could be a loss that's tied to the family, a loss that could be tied to the home life. This could be a bit, this could be tied to even a job, a business situation. Unfortunately, this is like things did not work out. So it's like we need to move away from a situation that could have been a bit unhappy. It's kind of like sadness, but this card definitely indicates you guys are moving away from that sadness and you're finding that peace. And that's what we want to continue to do, is move forward. We all go through these things. It's normal. We go through things, but we just have to, take that boat to the other side of the shore, because we need to find our peace. Come to terms with whatever it was, make your peace with it and let it go. We don't want to focus on, the loss, because when we put our energy and focus onto the very thing we lost, then we can end up creating more situations, and we don't want to do that. So let's just be, moving towards the peace. Continue to do this. It sucks to go through a loss, but just know that things are going to get better. The sun will come out tomorrow, and it's a new day. It's a new start. We get a clean slate, so to speak. So let's just move forward and let's find peace with what happened, what we lost here. Sometimes this can be speaking more about something that's going on within the mind. So for some of you, this could actually have been, a loss, in the many areas that I stated, or that for some of you, this could just be something that's going on mentally. Some of you could be dealing with depression. You could be struggling with that. But by seeing this gives me hope for you guys, because this would definitely indicate that you guys are definitely making a lot of progress, and you're finding that peace. You're getting better. You're coming out of that dark depression, and you're moving towards the sun like you should. You gotta shine. It's Leo. Y'all gotta shine. Okay, so for circumstances, whew, this is heavy. We got the Seven of Swords in reverse. So for some of you guys, this is an Aquarius card, so I just feel pulled back to the lunar eclipse that took place in July. And I feel like the lunar eclipse is still definitely wreaking havoc for a lot of people, because it took place in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the collective. So people who don't even have any Aquarius or Leo in their chart were still affected, because it's about the collective. Now, Aquarius is the opposite to Leo. So Leo is about, I, me, Aquarius is more about we, the collective. And Aquarius also rules our friendships, and especially groups of friends. It also rules groups in general, like groups, clubs, organizations. Like on social media, you got all kinds of, like on Facebook, that you got all kinds of groups on Facebook, and like YouTube, for instance, people have, their subscribers, their followers. And boy, I have seen a lot take place with people on YouTube, the drama on YouTube with some of these situations. Wow. Woo! People getting exposed left and right. And it was a lunar eclipse, so it's a time. It was a time to purge, those negative things, and it's time to let go, so that we can start over. Now, anyway, back to the cards. So, again, I brought up friends and friendships and groups, groups of friends, groups of people. So, for some of you, this could be indicating that you could have potentially dealt with a fallout with some friends or with a group of people. Some of you could be dealing with, reputation issues. Some of you could be shocked by someone else's behavior, and you're having to deal with, the fallout of that and finding out, about who they really are. For some of you, this could definitely be indicating that you could have went through a situation where there was a deception and it was exposed. For some of you, this could be about something of yours being stolen. Sometimes when this card comes up in the reverse, especially if someone has done us wrong, a lot of times we can end up getting an apology. Not always, but sometimes. So some of you might get an apology if this is resonating at all with you. So do be on the lookout for that. If maybe this might have been you in this situation, maybe you might have got caught red-handed, saying something or doing something that wasn't so great. Do your best to make your amends, Apologize from the heart, That's the one thing that Leo has, is that heart, and really, channel that. And if you owe somebody an apology, make sure that apology comes from the heart. The whole issue with apologizing. Well, I'm sorry, but no. Let's take that but out of there, okay? Because anytime we throw in an excuse or a but, that cancels it out, So, again, you guys could be on the receiving end of some energy like this, or some of you could be, the ones that could have been, doing some things like this. This card, that can definitely indicate that there's some unethical type of activities going on. Sometimes we see unfaithfulness within a romantic relationship. Sometimes we can, find out about betrayals. These could have been betrayals within friendships, within groups of people. And sometimes this could even be about, betraying yourself. Because I'm really getting the feeling that some of you guys you're not being true to yourself, and this, a lot of times Leo gets a bad rep, and people are like, Leo's totally self-centered. They don't think about anybody else. That couldn't be more further from the truth, though. So, yeah, there are some Leos out there like that, but you know what? There are some people out there like that are in every freaking zodiac sign, okay? There is no zodiac sign that's worse than the other. At least that's my opinion. Because I see all zodiac signs for exactly what they are. We all have positive and we all have negative sides. And that's just a fact. Okay? It's just a fact. Okay, I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm like so excited to be here and in this, So that month off was harder on me than it was on you guys. I needed to read. So this is being clarified by the world. So the world is about us, going through a set of lessons, if you will. It's kind of like we had so many lessons to learn and we've learned them. And it's kind of like the universe saying, hey, you've done a good job, you made it through, pat yourself on the back, what do you desire? Because whatever you desire can be yours if you really put your mind to it and you apply the necessary action to obtain what you want. Because wishful thinking is not enough, okay? This is where people tend to get lost in what I say sometimes. It's faith without action is useless, okay? That's kind of where I'm going here. Now, overall, this card is about us achieving success. So this is about us going after something and achieving that success. So for some of you, you could be dealing with finally getting that success. Some of you could be feeling like you're blocked from that success due to whatever this situation was for you. But if you're being delayed from the success, perhaps maybe some of you might feel like a success of yours was stolen away from you. For some of you, this could be like someone that maybe you might have been friends with, and they knew you were going after a particular job or something, and maybe they went after it and they got it, and then it's like they stole your opportunity, So we can see things like that come up, among many other things. But just because things didn't necessarily go your way, for those of you, where things didn't go your way and you may still be experiencing difficulties, just know that that doesn't cancel out the fact that you've done the work, okay? And the universe knows, the universe sees, and you're still going to be rewarded. Just, find something else, Or if you really want this particular goal, then be persistent. Be determined. Believe in yourself, and magic can happen. Let me tell you. When you believe in yourself and you're very passionate and you love this goal, or whatever you want to go after, then nothing will hold you back. You'll get it eventually. But again, I feel that a lot of you guys are just basically going through a lot of lesson learning. And so for most of you, it's kind of like, hey, the universe is saying, I've seen all the hard work. I've seen everything you've been through. You've learned a lot of lessons thus far. Pat yourself on the back. Now it's time for things to get better. It's going to take a little while. It's a little bumpy, but, it's going to get better. Okay, so this would be the focus. So we have the Two of Coins in reverse here. So this is like we're trying to juggle way too many things at once. So for some of you, this could be like juggling multiple jobs. For some of you, this could be like you're trying to juggle work, you're trying to juggle your personal relationship, you're trying to juggle your family life. This could be many different things, but it's like we have so many irons in the fire, and we're just spreading ourselves too thin. And we can't do the best job at every single thing right now because we're spreading ourselves too thin. There's too many irons in the fire, guys. So we really need to try to focus, on one thing in particular right now. What needs our attention the most right now, And sometimes, this can indicate that there could be some disappointing news coming. For I'm feeling that most of you have already gotten this news, and you're already dealing with it, and you're already trying to juggle. It's like a juggling act, you're just trying to make it through day to day. For some of you, this could be about juggling finances. Sometimes I feel like this could be like a let's rob Peter to pay Paul type of thing sometimes. That's not going to resonate with every single one of you, but it's going to resonate with some of you, so I have to say it. But again, it's us having to juggle multiple things. We got a lot of irons in the fire, and we've just spread ourselves too thin, okay? So we just really need to try to narrow things down and focus on one particular thing, and ouch, okay. So we have the moon in reverse to clarify. So this kind of takes me back to the lunar eclipse yet again in July, but this is also making me think of today, as I'm recording this on August 26th. We had the full moon. It was technically, I believe, like 1:50, 1:58 or something a.m. this morning. But, it's still the full moon. Now, technically, when the moon card is in reverse, this is no longer a full moon. This is like a new moon. Now, the new moon is where we set, our intentions. This is where we create new goals, okay? Now, for the tarot, when I see the moon card in reverse, anytime I see the moon card, actually, no matter whether it's upright or reverse, I always say pay attention to your dreams and pay attention to those gut feelings, because a lot of times there's good information coming in, but there can just be a tendency to not listen to it. So you definitely want to pay attention. Our dreams can seem pretty crazy sometimes, but sometimes it can be pretty crazy how it ends up making sense later. But definitely don't ignore the gut feelings, guys. Don't ignore it. So, another thing that comes up with this, some of you guys could actually be dealing with issues of sleep. Some of you may be sleeping too much. Some of you may be dealing with insomnia. Some of you might be dealing with insomnia because you're just pushing yourself too far. Some of you could be working multiple jobs, and that's why you're spreading yourself thin, and it's like your energy is draining. Now, another thing is this card can indicate self-deception. So you definitely don't want to lie to yourself about anything right now, okay? Be very honest with yourself and about your situation. Look at it, for the reality of what it is. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in that web of self-deception, okay? It's like, maybe we know that we need to do something, but yet we feel like, no, I can just keep doing this, or I can just keep, pushing this way. Things are bound to get better. No. Don't lie to yourself, okay? Know when something's done and be done. I know that's hard. It's hard to receive it. It's hard for me to say it. But sometimes we just have to know when things are done. And we don't want to lie to ourselves, because that could just make the situation so much worse. But for most of you here, this is definitely indicating that we need to narrow, we need to narrow it down. We need to bring our energy and focus on one thing. So with this being the new moon, to me this is saying, hey, let's pick one goal, okay? Let's set our intention here. Let's write this goal down, and let's start figuring out how to, put the action in, how to achieve this. And, then let's take action to make that happen. So, again, let's focus on one. I mean, y'all can do whatever you want to do, okay? I'm just giving the advice. You don't have to take it, so Okay, so this would be your recent past. So we have the Queen of Swords. So the sword she holds here, this is the sword of truth. To me, this is a truth penetrating sword. It's like, let's just cut through the BS. Now, the Queen of Swords, she does take her time when she is making decisions because she wants to be fair and she wants to be honorable when she makes her choice. So, what does this mean for you? For some of you guys, you could have been dealing with someone like this. You could be dealing with someone that is Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. They could be male or female. Or, this could just be simply indicating that you guys had a decision to make here in the recent past. And you could have took your time with it because you wanted to make sure that you were making the right decision. Perhaps maybe you might have been channeling the Queen of Swords energy and you were using, the logic and the reasoning ability of the Swords element. Maybe we're weighing the pros and the cons, when making that choice. And taking into consideration our truth. Now, sometimes the Queen of Swords can indicate a counselor. Sometimes it can indicate an attorney, a lawyer. So some of you could have hired a lawyer. Some of you could be going to therapy now. I mean, these are possibilities. No shame in it if you've recently started going to therapy. No shame at all. Okay, so this would be the present, the here and the now energy. So we have the Queen of Coins in reverse. So the Queen of Coins in reverse. Now, first and foremost, this could be an actual person that some of you could be dealing with. This person could be male or female. They could potentially be Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, but they don't have to be. They could just be somebody that's focused on money. Sometimes this can be you channeling that energy. So, enough of that. Anyway, with the Queen of Coins in reverse, this queen is very much one that is focused on, the finances and, the financial stability. Now, when she's in the reverse, she doesn't have these things. It's like the financial security has dropped away from her. It's like, okay, now we're going through a financial loss of some sort. So either some of you guys are going through a financial loss. Maybe some of you could be experiencing some financial hardships. And some of you could be a victim. I hate to even say that. Because anytime I see this card, this is someone that is going through a very difficult time financially. And we always have to be careful because this particular card, it's one where you might be manipulated. You need to be careful of that type of energy where someone might try to manipulate you so that they can financially gain. Okay? So someone could be financially trying to manipulate you. Maybe someone has a sob story. Maybe they want you to feel sorry for them because Leo has heart, so you guys are going to listen, and if you feel you can help somebody, but y'all need to be careful. Y'all need to be careful. For some of you, this could be an older woman, but again, this doesn't have to necessarily be a woman. This could be a male. This could be something, the energy that you're going through. And if this is the energy that you're going through, if you're going through a hard time and you're going through a loss, just let me say this. You don't have to take my advice, but I'm certainly going to put it out there anyway. I would not recommend trying to do anything unethical, okay, or illegal to obtain money or material items. Because sometimes that's where we can see, that there could be some ideas on how to get some money and material items, but they are not ethical, and sometimes they're even illegal. So, be careful of that, Now, for some of you, this could just be indicating that you're being overly pessimistic. If you're going through a financial hard time, are you being overly pessimistic right now? Are you focusing on everything that's going wrong? Are you focusing on everything that you're lacking? Because if you are, then you're being pessimistic, and that's not really going to help. You need to really tap in to that Leo energy, and you need to channel it. Channel it. Leo, they are happy, okay? I mean, we're not happy all the freaking time, okay? But, happy, optimistic. That is the key. Optimistic, not pessimistic, okay? So, yeah, if you're thinking negatively and thinking, oh, I'm never going to get out of this, I'm never going to get here, stop it. Just stop. Stop yourself. You got to shift your thinking. We need to get out of pessimistic mode and we need to go into optimistic mode, okay? You need to find that hope. You need to find that faith. You need to find the optimism. And I get it, that can be really, really hard, for some of us, depending on, everybody's situation is different. This is a general reading for the masses, so everybody's situation is different, so I know that that's not going to necessarily be easy for everyone. I just want you to know that, the way that we think about things has a huge impact on how things are going to turn out in the near future. So we really need to try to shift our thinking. If we're thinking, pessimistically, if we're being negative and we're focusing on everything that we're lacking, then we can end up getting the very thing that we don't want, and that is more things that we're lacking, more problems, and I don't want you guys to go through that. And so if you are going through that, I know as hard as it can be, looking at the reality, the facts, but we have got to try to find, that hope, the optimism. We have got to try to shift our focus. And the best way to do this is to start thinking about everything that you do have and that you need to be grateful for. There's a lot of things that people tend to take for granted, and it's really easy to do, but, if you're watching this reading, you have something that a lot of people don't, and that is a smartphone or a home computer or an iPad or a tablet, and you have internet service. Not everybody's so lucky to have that, and while you may look at it like it's not anything, it is something, and not everybody has this luxury, And I could come up with at least 100 other examples like that. And these are just small things that we tend to take for granted. So let's shift our focus and start thinking about the things that we need to be positive about. And I completely forgot about the clarifying card. Okay. And as I'm sitting here talking about shifting thoughts and all of this, we have the Magician, the manifestation card. But the Magician can also be a bit of a trickster. You know, he can use his ability for good, or he can use his ability for ill. And so this definitely makes me want to drive the message home even more that, you know, some of you do need to be careful with the people that could be in your life. You know, you want to make sure that someone is not manipulating you or a situation, especially a situation in which money is involved or a material item, okay? So you need to be really, really careful. Now, for some of you, this card could be coming out and saying, hey, you know, maybe you are going through a financial hard time, but maybe you're not using your own skills and your own abilities the proper way. You know, a lot of times this can indicate the improper use of our skills and our abilities. So it's like we need to, you know, for some of you, this could be indicating that perhaps maybe you have a hidden skill or ability, and maybe you're just unaware of it. And for some of you, this could be indicating that, you know, you really need to work on the skill or an ability that you have, and let's not do the wrong thing with it. Because sometimes this can be about like manipulating someone. Because the Magician in reverse can be the trickster. This can be someone who is a con artist, someone who is out to scam you. So again, y'all need to be careful, okay? Be careful. Okay, so this would be the near future. So we have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is kind of like, you know, there's more than meets the eye about a certain situation. For some of you, it could be this situation. For some of you, it could be this one. It could be this one. It could be all three. Or it could be something completely different. Okay? But there's a certain situation that may be a bit mysterious. And it's kind of like there's more than meets the eye to this situation. Now, this card is indicating that you guys already know what you should do and what you need to do. Because this is that card of inner knowing, intuition. So it's like you know what you need to do. So don't ignore your gut intuition. Okay? You know what you need to do. Stick to it. So, you know, for some of you, you might be having questions about someone in your life. This card's popping in to say, you know the answer. You already know the answer that you seek. So again, if there's a situation in your lives where there's more than meets the eye, like there's some sort of mystery, just go within and listen to that intuition, which is invaluable right now, okay? Because you already know the answer. Now, some of you, if this situation is tied to somebody that you say care a lot about, or even someone that you love, you know, this could be a romantic type of situation. This could be a platonic type of, you know, friendship or whatever it may be. Okay? But you know the answers. You absolutely do. So when I clarify, I get the Priestess again. And the Upright at that. So this is kind of like a double dose of, you guys have got to listen to your intuition. You know, and For some of us, it's like we hear that inner voice. Maybe you don't like what that inner voice is saying. So sometimes we want to try to ignore it. But you don't want to ignore it, because our intuition is invaluable right now. And our intuition is definitely going to give us the answers that we seek. We just need to go within. Now, for some of you, where this is tied into a situation where you love somebody or you care, sometimes we can have a hard time being objective. And so sometimes this can cloud our judgment. And if that's the case, then yeah, you definitely want to try to take a step back so that you can try to look at things objectively. Maybe we might want to, channel that Queen of Swords energy, weigh the pros and the cons, but listen to your intuition, okay? Even if you don't like what it's saying, you should still listen and take that into consideration, big time. So, of course, I'm like, hey, I need another card, tell me. So then we get the Five of Cups. So this card is pretty much a loss and a disappointment in regards to love. Now, let me just be clear. Not every single Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising is in a relationship, and nor do they all want to be, okay? So what does that card mean for you then, if you don't want to be in a relationship and you haven't been in one? Well, that could be indicating that you could experience a loss and a disappointment in regards to, say, a friendship, or with someone that you're related to, perhaps even a business partner, but whoever it is, it would be someone that you have a connection with, or you had a connection with, okay? And, a really good bond, at least you thought. And, oh, it's so difficult. And this is where it just kind of brings me back. So, I feel that some of you, this is something that could be going on within the romantic sphere. Excuse me. I'm almost making up new words. For some of you, I feel like this is falling more into the romantic relationship sphere of things. And for some of you, this is taking place more within friendships. And these particular friendships and relationships that are platonic, there is love, but it's like we have been let down. Now, another thing with the Five of Cups is, maybe you've been going after something really passionately that you absolutely love, and maybe it just didn't work out, and so you're feeling disappointed. For some of you, and that might be dealing with a relationship issue, things could have abruptly come to an end, and it's leaving you feeling, sad and disappointed. And whatever it is that didn't work out, do take that time to grieve, but just, you already knew. It's almost like most of you all already felt it coming, like you knew things weren't going to work out, or that something was coming. That feeling you get where it's just like something is off, I feel like something's coming. For some of you, this hasn't happened. For some of you, this is getting ready to happen. For some of you, you're going through it right now, okay? It'll be different for everybody, but you'll know where you fall. So, do be careful. Listen to your intuition, especially if this has got something to do with money. Be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Now, I do feel that it was definitely relationship for a good portion of you. And just know that, take your time to grieve, and just know, don't let this dash your hopes. in regards to love, because it's kind of like with rejection, where we feel like we're shut out. But let me tell you, rejection is actually Spirit's protection for us. So even though it's painful, we're actually being protected from something worse. So it's actually better that it ends. Okay? Everything happens for a reason, no matter how crazy, screwy it appears. Everything happens for a reason. And I mean, I'm just going to say it, for those of you who had to deal with somebody potentially messing around on you or betraying you, as hard as this loss is, you deserve so much better, Leos. And you know this, okay? You know this. So let it go. I'm not saying you need to get over it like, tomorrow. Take your time to grieve. Come to terms with it, okay? But you deserve better, and you know it. You can't allow people to treat you in these types of ways. So it's actually a blessing in disguise. As hard as that may sound, it's going to be hard to take that in, but it's actually a blessing in disguise. Everything happens for a reason. Okay. I actually had to pause for a moment because I really had to collect myself. I was kind of getting caught in the emotions because I can feel that some of you guys are definitely allowing depression to get the better of you. So I had to definitely take a moment to bring balance back to myself here. So, and we're moving forward. Okay, so this would be your attitude card. Now, this is amazing. Okay, so we already had the world up here to clarify the Seven of Swords in reverse. And now we find the world here in the attitude position. So I'm absolutely loving this. This is giving me life, okay? So again, this is like the universe saying, hey, I know you guys have been through it, Maybe you didn't, get something you wanted. Maybe you've had to deal with fallouts in relationships, platonic relationships, even a romantic one potentially. But the universe knows everything that you've been through and everything that you guys have been working on and all of the lessons that you guys have learned. And, this is a card of pat yourself on the back. So a lot of you guys are definitely finding that optimism. And you're like, hey, I know what I want and I know I'm going to get it. And that's what I'm talking about. That is the attitude that you need to maintain. I know what I want, and it will be mine. It will be. That's what I'm talking about. Now, this nasty little booger is how other people are going to be looking at you, okay? So, yes, it's the devil. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. The devil made me do it. So, yeah. So what we see here with the devil, we could be dealing with issues of addiction. Addiction has many different forms, okay? There's so many addictions nowadays. So for some of you, you might have someone close to you that could be looking at you like, you're addicted to something. Now, this card also is about obsessions, and sometimes we can be quite obsessive in regards to an addiction. Now, this card is also about fear. This card also carries with it, the fear is like bondage. Now, you see how little her wrist is? You see how big this loop is? She could pull her arm right out of it, okay? But it's fear that keeps her from doing it. She feels like she's stuck. Like there's no way out. Why do I even try? But she's really not stuck. And neither are you guys. If you feel like you're stuck, I'm sure you are to a certain extent, but only as much as you allow it to be within your mind. People tend to forget how powerful our brains are. Every thought has energy attached to it, okay? Because we are energy. And so therefore every thought that we think has energy attached to it. So we definitely want our energy to be right, okay? And for some of you, this could definitely be indicating that you might be giving in to that fear. Perhaps some of you could be obsessing about fears. Maybe some of you are obsessing about the worst case scenarios, and sometimes if we do that, we can end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's what we don't want to happen, okay? So that doesn't work for us, and we deserve better. But I don't want you guys getting trapped by that fear, because all it does is paralyze you, and we don't need to be paralyzed, because when we're paralyzed, there's no forward movement. And then we can't even make a decision because we're literally feeling trapped by the fear. It's time to exorcise this devil up out of the mind, okay? Now, the devil is a very sexualized, it's a highly sexualized card, okay? So I feel, especially since Mars has been retrograde, it's like some people have given in to those impulses. So, this is why I definitely brought up, there could have been some issues with some unfaithfulness. This could have been on your part. This could have been you on the receiving end of someone being unfaithful. Now, this could also be indicating that perhaps maybe you might be in some sort of toxic karmic relationship. And again, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. This could be a friendship. This could even be a relationship with a family member. This could be a friend. This could even be like a partnership, partnership. Someone that you're in a partnership with that you're actually friends with and that you care about a lot. And it's kind of like, maybe you feel like you're being held captive in a situation. But again, you guys are not being held captive. It's an illusion, people. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. And the sooner that you realize that, the sooner that you can slide your wrist right out of those golden shackles. Okay, so this would be hopes or fears. So here we have the Fool card in reverse. So to me, this definitely indicates that a lot of you guys are definitely hoping and even intending on getting that new start. Now, the only issue I have here is with this Fool being in the reverse, this is where we need to be really, really careful. We don't want to react on impulse. We don't want to speak impulsively, because a lot of times under this particular energy, it's almost like it's a bit, rebellious, a little reckless. And sometimes there can be issues where we might say something that could end up hurting someone and we don't really mean for it to, but that's what happens. And sometimes there can be an issue where we might, act, one of our actions could be perceived as a very thoughtless action. So this could cause issues with someone in regards to this new start. So, it's just like we need to be careful of being impulsive and speaking impulsively and reacting impulsively. So we just need to stop and think about things before we react and, open our mouths. Which is easier said than done. But if you can do it, then, definitely try to think about things before you do it, because this can indicate that, that we could end up making some foolish decisions. But, again, this is the hopes and fears position, so it doesn't mean it'll necessarily manifest. But this is kind of like, within our subconscious mind, we could be fearing that we might mess up when we get this new start. It doesn't have to manifest, though. Okay, so for the final outcome, we get the 3 of Coins. So this could definitely be indicating that some of you might actually decide to start learning a new skill set. Some of you might realize, oh, okay, I actually have this ability. Maybe I need to start working on it. And, then I might be able to do something with it later on. For some of you, this could be about, actually literally going to school or taking a part-time course where you're going to learn a new skill. For some of you, this could be like an internship, an apprenticeship. We are learning a skill, and we have to work as a team. So teamwork comes up in a big way with this card. We have to be able to communicate with each other. We have to work with one another in order to make things happen. And sometimes this card can also indicate that there could be coming recognition, but the recognition will not be recognition that is like on a personal level. It's recognition that would be like as a team, for teamwork. Sometimes we have to work closely with other people. Sometimes we have to collaborate with other people. So for some of you, this could indicate that you might be learning a new skill for it. Maybe you started a new job. Maybe it's a job that you wouldn't have ever thought of taking before, but you're just like, hey, you know what? Let's try something new. You never know. This could be that. For some of you, this could just simply be, starting out in a new field. Some of you could be going to school to learn about a particular set of skills that you want to have. But no matter what, this is a positive card, which I'm extremely grateful for. So it definitely looks like a new skill or a set of skills is going to be learned. And this could even be a side project for some of you. For some of you, this will be, an actual job. Okay, so it is clarified by the 4 of Wands in reverse. Now, anytime I see this card, I typically jump on my soapbox and give the whole, we need to be grateful and thankful. When we start focusing on the lack and what we don't have, yeah, that whole speech. I'm sure you guys have heard it before. At least if you've watched any of my other videos, you've definitely heard it before. So, this is definitely one of those cards where, we We need to be grateful and thankful for every single blessing we have in our life, no matter how big or how small. Now, for some of you, this could indicate that there could be some issues going on within the home. Maybe the home life has been a little upset. For some of you, this could indicate that you might be moving in regards to going to school or starting a new job. Maybe the family might feel a bit uprooted for some of you. For some of you, this could be like the honeymoon is over, you know. For some of you, this could be like empty nest syndrome. Some of you could have children that are going off to college, and now you find yourself suddenly in a house with no children, and you're just like, oh my God, what do I do with myself? Time to learn a new skill. Keep yourself busy. And for some of you, this could actually indicate that there could be some issues, within the home. Maybe something could be faulty. Maybe something needs fixed. Maybe something needs maintenance within the home. So that's always a possibility as well. But no matter what, let's just be positive for what we have. That's really the point. Because the more that we focus on what we do have and being grateful and thankful for what we have, and we take that whole lack attitude out of our mind, then we're just going to attract more and more things to be grateful and thankful for. And that's why I say our brain is way more powerful than people realize. We get what we tend to think about the most. So I would definitely focus on the good. Be grateful for the things that happen, no matter how big or how small. For some of you, this could indicate that you might be starting over completely, especially in regards to, finances, a job per se. But hey, at least you're being given a new start, Sure, it might feel like it's a demotion of some sort, but you never know, because there could be many things that are actually blessings in disguise. You just can't see clearly at first, but it ends up turning into a blessing. But the more that you focus on everything that is good and positive and being in that attitude of gratitude, you're going to attract more and more and more good things to you. So let's do that, Leo. Let's do that, okay? All right. Okay, so for the bottom of the deck, we have the Hierophant in reverse. So the Hierophant in reverse, this is things that are not traditional. These are things that would be considered unconventional, unorthodox. This is the person that is like, hey, I am going to be the rebel. I'm not going to conform. I'm not going to fall in line. I'm not going to do what you want me to do just so I can fit into your little situation. I'm going to do what I want to do. And sometimes you just got to be like that because, it's like some people just want us to do certain things so that, they can put us in this, little box. And no, I mean, you got to have your own mind, your own thoughts. Hey, if you want to willingly conform to make someone happy, that's your choice. And I'm not going to knock you or judge you for it. But for some of you, you're not about to be told what to do or what you need to conform to. So you're just going to be like, hey, I don't care. If I'm going to come across as the rebel, I'm going to do what I got to do. Yeah. So, yeah, so Seven of Wands. So this is a card of, look at this defensive stance, guys. He has 6 opposing wands at him. And yet, look at this defensive stance. And he's got this one wand and he is like, I don't care. I'll take all 6 of you on. Okay? So, this is a card of stiff competition. This competition could be in business. It could be in personal matters. It could be in both for you. But it's like, hey, I'm not going to budge. I'm going to defend myself. I don't care if there's 6 opposing people. I'm going to defend myself. And I will win this competition. And I don't need to conform in order to win. Okay? Now that's a good hint. If you feel like you need to conform and fall in line to win, or to, say you're trying to compete for a job and you know that you have 20 other people that applied for the same position. This card is saying you don't have to fall in line and conform with what everybody else expects you to do in order to obtain that position. Believe in yourself. This is Mars and Leo, okay? That takes great courage and belief in oneself to take on 6 people. One person taking on 6 other people like, hey, you ain't gonna move me. My mind's made up. Okay, yeah, some of you may notice I have not done any of the Love Oracle cards. If you guys really want me to bring them back, drop a comment below and let me know. If enough people say bring them back, then I will. I just don't really focus on the love part because it's just not my thing. I'm not trying to get into the whole marketing and twin flames and all of that, okay? I can provide those type of readings, but that's just not my focus. My focus is on giving the general readings more and helping where I can, because this is where my focus is always at. So for those of you who have seen when I do the Love Oracle cards, I'll explain them a little bit, but I ain't going into great detail like I do here, because to me this is the most important part. But again, if it's something that you want to continue, just drop a comment below and let me know. Because if enough people say, yeah, look, I want to be able to get it, I look forward to that, then I'll bring it back, okay? All right, enough chatter. So, seeing as how I missed your guys' birthday month, your Leo season, this is what I've been doing for the past couple of months for the birthdays. So this is called the Akashic Tarot. So these are going to be the messages that you guys need to receive specifically for this month, but for some of you, these messages may resonate even deeper beyond this month, So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so the first card is Initiation and the Count Saint Germain. It's in the reverse. These cards are definitely different from traditional tarot, but I do like them. I'm still trying to remember this book here. And this is totally new, but hey. Okay. So the time of your initiation has been upon you, but you are holding on to old ways and are resistant to the wonderful changes at hand. The old things and relationships that keep your energy low are not your safety net, but rather the opposite. They keep you mirrored in the difficulties. Even if the lower energy people and things keeping you down are gone, you may be stuck on their loss or just afraid to move on to something new. Whatever is keeping you from pursuing your highest evolution must be confronted. Don't block your movement to a higher utilization of force and mind. With it, you can change your life and the very face of the world. I think that sounds amazing. Now, I know that message will definitely hit home with some of you. Oh, okay. So the next card is the Akashic Library. Sometimes this card can indicate writing or publishing a book. This card can also symbolize a new initiation, an ability to manifest a new life in every way. You have moved deeper into a higher self-awareness. Further investigation may be required, but you now have a better understanding, of your old motives and your new purpose. It's also a time of heightened intuition as well as a greater self-creation. During this phase, all you have to do is add a little conscious effort to write your records in the Akasha, okay? To get started, write one simple declaration about the future that you wish to create and repeat it to yourself often. Then decide one thing that you can do to make it happen and do it. Anything can happen now. The breadth of the landscape before you rests solely on the scope of your imagination and your will to own it. So this is kind of touching on what I was bringing up earlier. But I definitely like how it puts it. You should definitely write down a goal. One goal, Leo. One goal. Focus on that goal. Focus on what actions do you need to do to help bring that goal to fruition. Okay? Now, another thing about this particular card is look at all of those books. It's the Akashic Library. So what this could potentially mean is, if you have a book around you and one that you feel especially connected to, or it could even be a random book. But this card can definitely indicate messages coming to you through a book. So it's like you could end up reading something in a book that holds tremendous meaning to you and your situation. And for some of you, this could, it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical book, This could be, you reading an article online, just going to a random article and then something really resonates deep within. Don't ignore that. It's kind of like, messages, or grab a book and just open it at a random page, and read the very page that you open it up to. Because it's like there'll be a divine message within that's for you specifically. Okay, moving forward. Okay, so the next one is the views of the ego in reverse. Okay. Your tolerance of a self-serving person's behavior has come to an end. You have realized that some lack in your own definition of self has attracted this person who is unable to give. You are ready to give to yourself. You are now more aware of your priorities, and you're ready to take the action that honors you. No longer are you willing to be neglected or minimized. You might falter a little bit, but be strong and take the steps to put this person behind you. During this time, whenever your ego causes you to feel lack in your life, say thank you for the reminder to turn to your eternal truth in that moment. Say to yourself, abundance is the condition of my life. Feel yourself fill with love and power that are inexhaustible. It is only when you treat yourself better that you declare to the universe that you deserve better. Wow. I'm going to say that was a really powerful message. Especially with that. And that. And that. Whew. Okay. So, the next card, the Ark of the Covenant in reverse. These might be a little too religion-y, I guess, for some. But it's not just Christianity. Okay, so if there are legal dealings at issue, this card could show a broken contract or a failed legal transfer. Be cautious with professionals who care for your investments and other things that you value at this time. While they may not be seeking to do you harm, they could be more neglectful than they should be. As significant as legal matters may seem, there is an even more important reference to you karmically. With this card reversed, the Ark of the Covenant is toppled, and you have broken your contract with your higher self. Perhaps you've avoided your karmic work and you've put your higher purposes aside because you're too busy or it's too hard, or you have knowingly chosen to be directed by your fears and emotional needs instead of what's best for you. In either event, it's time to wake up and renew your covenant, not just in the word, but in the deed. Your life will simply not work until you do. So yeah, I mean, we definitely need to be in alignment with our higher selves. We don't want to be doing things that is not for the better in our future, We don't want to stay in situations where fear has you feeling trapped. Okay, so for the last one, we have the waterfall in reverse. This card indicates a situation where you're feeling a significant loss of power. This waterfall reversed shows that you are in an emotionally reactive time. You may feel like your life's turned totally upside down, or you may have unintentionally given your power to someone else, whether it's a lover, a boss, a family member, or even a friend. Perhaps you are following another person's agenda in spite of your own intuition not to do so. In a more extreme form, you may have completely given up, falling into depression or living according to the dictates of another. It's imperative that you rise up and take your power back. Refusing to conform. This may be needed. You may need to rebel. So it's imperative that you rise up and take your power back. It may seem foreign for you to do so, but it's a lesson that your soul longs for you to learn. During this phase, take the time in your meditations and restful states to tap the love, power, and value of your spirit. When you understand your true value, you will know that you deserve to carve out your own destiny, and you'll take the steps to do so. All right, I'm going to say that this definitely resonated a lot with the actual reading itself. So, and I'm going to say it that they actually gave a lot of good advice. So, but yeah, you guys got to be true to yourselves. Got to be true to yourself.